If you prefer. Good morning. I will now call the January 10th, 2023 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular and County of San Diego Redevelopment Successor Agency meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas here.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher here. We will begin with the invocation. The invocation will be delivered by Father Scott Santa Rosa from Our Lady of Guadalupe. We welcome you to our meeting and ask everyone to please rise for the invocation.
Thank you and good morning. As we begin our prayer today, let's hold in our prayers and in our hearts those people in our great state who are suffering because of flooding. And as we pray today for this meeting and for the supervisors of the County of San Diego, for Chair Nathan Fletcher, for Vice Chair Nora Vargas, and the process of selection of new leadership, let us call upon the words of the prophet Isaiah from the Hebrew Scriptures. I, the Lord, have called you for the victory of justice. I have grasped you by the hand. I formed you and set you as a covenant of the people, a light for the nations, to open the eyes of the blind, to bring out prisoners from confinement, and from the dungeon those who live in darkness. Loving God, as the 5 supervisors for the County of San Diego gather today to inaugurate this year and this session, we ask you to bless them with the confidence that you have called them for the victory of justice. Help them to use their talents, their passions, their light for the good of the people of San Diego, to open eyes, ears, and hearts, to bring people from prisons of poverty and lack of opportunity to the light of empowerment and education and forward movement. Help them to do their part to heal our broken world. And may they and we recall all the people along the journeys of life who have grasped them by the hand, who even in their childhood and adolescence and young adulthood made covenants with them, that they may in turn grasp the hands of those most in need in our county and make deep commitments to improving their lives. We make this prayer in the name of the one who loved us all into being, who calls us all by name, who sets our feet on the right path, and who called us here today. In this great one's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. It will be delivered remotely by Juanita Nunez's 3rd grade class from Ocean View Elementary School. We welcome you all to our Board of Supervisors meeting today. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. We will turn it over to you all for the pledge.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I allegiance of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day at school.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our first order of business today is agenda item number 1, selection of the board's officers. It is the time where we select the chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem for 2023. I'm going to turn it over to the clerk of the board to walk through the process.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. The Board of Supervisors Rules of Procedure Rule 5 dictates the process for selection of the board's officers. The rule specifies the officers of the board are the chair, the vice chair, and the chair pro tem. The method of nomination and selection of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem will be at the discretion of the board. The board may solicit nominations for the chair or a slate of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem. Any nomination must have a second, and if the person nominated declines the position, the nomination will be withdrawn. Upon successful election of a chair, the balance of the meeting will be conducted by the incoming chair. It would be appropriate to consider a nomination for chair or a slate that includes the chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem. I'll turn it back to Chair Fletcher for his remarks.
Thank you very much. Leadership of any entity or organization is a tremendous honor. To be put in a position of leadership, to be selected by your colleagues, I believe is one of the highest honors. It also comes with a tremendous obligation, and it has been the honor of a lifetime to serve as chair of the County Board of Supervisors for the last 2 years. I'm immensely grateful and thankful to my personal team, Team Fletcher, for the tireless work and real commitment that they bring, and will forever be incredibly proud of the entire county team. Every member of this organization, from our CAO down to the newest hire employee who gets up every day and shares that vision of the noblest motive being the public good. And so I want to thank all of you for the great honor and thank my colleagues for giving me this opportunity. It is also time to pass the torch. We have incredible leaders in our county and on our board who bring a new energy and a new vision, who bring tremendous ability and effectiveness and energy. And so it is my tremendous honor today to nominate to be the chair of the Board of Supervisors, current Supervisor Nora Vargas, someone who has demonstrated in her time in office here what leadership looks like, what is possible, what can be accomplished, someone who, again, has the vision, the insight, and the expertise to lead us and lead us ably and effectively. And I know she will do tremendous things for the County of San Diego. And so I'm thrilled to be here today to officially nominate Nora Vargas to be the next chair of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. I would also like to nominate Supervisor Lawson-Remer to be vice chair. Again, someone who's brought a range of expertise and life experience that has pushed us, has held us accountable, has demanded that we do better, but has also shown what effective governing can look like in steering this entity. And I know that the two of you will be incredible. And we'd like to renominate Supervisor Anderson to be pro tem. Someone who, again, has demonstrated a care for his constituents, a willingness to work collaboratively when possible, and never losing sight, as we hear of a lot, about the folks in your district. And that is but that's why we're here. And that's a perspective that you bring every day. And so my motion would be to nominate Nora Vargas as chair of the Board of Supervisors, Tara Lawson-Remer as vice chair, and Joel Anderson as chair pro tem. Is there a second? All right, we have a motion by myself, seconded by Supervisor Desmond. Let's hear from our public speakers, and then we'll come back to the board.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 9 requests to speak on this item, 5 in person and 4 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we did not receive any e-comments on this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak at item 1 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals in favor: Crystal Irving, Paul Henkin, Catherine Rhodes, and they'll be followed by the individuals in opposition, Michael Brando and Audra.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Crystal Irving, and I am proud to stand before you as President of SEIU Local 221, speaking in favor of this nomination for Nora Vargas to serve as Chair of the Board of Supervisors and Tara Lawson-Remer to serve as Vice Chair of the Board of Supervisors. I remember when I was a protective services worker for the county, and Supervisor Vargas and Supervisor Lawson-Remer just got elected, and hearing Nora Vargas speak in Spanish at one of the Board of Supervisors meetings was such a powerful moment and a reminder of how important it is to provide services to the communities that we serve in the language that they're most comfortable with and in a language that they understood. And I just really appreciated the energy and light that you brought to the board for your time serving. And then I almost called you vice chair already, Lawson-Remer. Just the partnership that we've been able to create as well with everyone serving on the board to really fight for working families and really get down to the details of what it is we need to do to make change in this community and in this region. So I proudly stand before you all in favor of this nomination so that we can continue supporting and working for and with working families, including my brothers and sisters and non-binary folks with UDW who are also in negotiations. Thank you so much. Looking forward to continued partnership and working with you both. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Happy New Year, Paul Henkin. Congratulations to Nora in particular. I hope for a positive change this year. In the agenda, the description says the chair's primary duty is to preside at all meetings of the board and ensure that business is conducted in an orderly fashion and that all have an equal opportunity to observe and participate in the proceedings. My gosh, I always thought that the primary duty was to uphold the law and Constitution. But there must be more meaningful duties than acting as a beadle. That's the guy who kept order in a jolly old English street, church, or per Charles Dickens in Oliver Twist's Poorhouse. There is also no description of the duties for vice chair and chair pro tem. If you are serious that all have an equal opportunity to observe and participate in the proceedings, you should include full descriptions of jobs so that we, the people, may offer our meaningful advice on what deserves the nod, who deserves the nod for these jobs. I am tired of being gavelled down illegally, by the way, for a second's clapping of false arrest and violence in this chamber, and of people getting favorable treatment according to their political stance. So please give us the New Year's present of allowing fully meaningful participation. Again, congratulations to Nora Vargas and all the officials.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes from Pacific Beach, and very much congratulations to a new chair, Supervisor Nora Vargas, and my supervisor, Tara Lawson-Remer. I actually wonder, historically, when's the last time there's been a female chair and vice chair? Just wondering. And so what I'm super, super happy for Supervisor Vargas, or Chair Vargas, is that you're strong enough to challenge Todd Gloria on the Sandag board, and that you're going to be the chair of Sandag instead of him. The reason for that is because the city of San Diego wants to try to tie in 101 Ash Street with Sandag, and tie you guys all in with and Sandag with their what they did, where they paid twice as much money, maybe even 3 times as much money in a gift of public funds to private interest. And so I'm not sure if you guys know, but everybody on the city of San Diego, everybody blames the county supervisors for the lack of movement on homeless issues. They all blame you every single time. They might be nice to your face, but in public, they're not. At their meetings, they're not. And even though you guys were the only people to put forward trying to get funding from FEMA for hotel rooms, or put homeless in hotel rooms, they never took you up on their offers. And so, one of the, but there's just so much opportunity. And one of the main opportunities that I'll talk about in a different section is how there is $3.6 billion in cash in fund balances in your periodic financial reports, including $562 million in ARPA funds, federal funds meant for the poor and disenfranchised. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
I use the name Michael. Let's start 2023 off with some truth and with some accuracy. Unbelievable that this woman, Nora Vargas, is going to be the so-called chair. As a Latino woman, she has been virtually silent about the assault and battery of another woman in the hallway. Silent, like all of you, including you, Helen Robbins-Meyer. I know you're going away, but still. This is blasphemy, absolute blasphemy. I speak here for myself. I do not consent to any of this, to any of your nonsense, for the last 30 months, 36 months. This body and blood is not in your jurisdiction, although you want to pretend that it is. What's interesting is if Audra Morgan had identified as, let's say, non-binary or trans, yeah, I'm looking at you, Tara, or any other bucket that you try to force people in to divide and conquer, her battery would be front page news, regardless of who owns the San Diego Tribune, a vaccine maker. And another thing, I ran into you this morning, Nora Vargas, at the entryway, and it is astounding that all of you would still have the same deputies that were responsible for beating Audra Morgan, including Richard Gonzalez. This is a direct threat to this community. Praise God, truth can be learned and spoken. And this priest back there probably knows nothing about what's going on in this county.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Michael. I use the name Audra. Obviously, you guys all know that. That's why nothing's happening with me being assaulted. And Nora, as a woman, it's like you saw me yesterday and you're like, let's go. But then I wonder, are you going to uphold your oath? Are you going to do what's right? What if that happened to your sister, if you have one? What if that happened to you? What if it happened to even Tara or Helen? You would be up in arms and you would be doing everything you could to make sure that that never happened again, and that man would never be working here near them. I just wonder, what will you do? Are you going to continue down the same path that Nathan has, which is destroying this county? It's just sad because it's like there's a video of it. You guys know that it happened, and Tara's there smirking like, it's been 9 weeks and I'm still injured. I have to go see orthopedic surgeons because of this to see if this is going to become chronic. I have to get MRI. Like, I don't understand how you guys can sit here and act like nothing happened. It's disgraceful. It's shameful to know that you can allow women to be beaten, but just because it's me, you won't even acknowledge it. What if I was Mexican? You would. You'd be like, dang, we can't let that happen to my people. Well, we're all each other's people. We all bleed the same color. People want to divide us through all of this stuff. I just hope that you do the right thing. Godspeed.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, I don't see any of the callers that requested to speak by phone in the calling queue, so that would conclude public comment on this item at this time.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any requests from board members to speak? Do it after? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
I can also speak after.
Okay, perfect. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Thank you, Supervisor Fletcher, for the nomination, and thank you to my colleagues for this unanimous support. I want to really take a moment to recognize my good friend Supervisor Fletcher for his leadership as chair of the board for these past 2 years. I don't think anyone could have done the job as well as you have in the last, it's been a really challenging time. And your commitment to the people of San Diego County has been unwavering. And I know that together as a county, we've been able to lead because of you. We've been able to accomplish great things for this region, from guiding the county through a pandemic to building a county that truly welcomes all of us, from immigrants to our LGBTQ+ community. During your tenure, no one has worked harder for our veterans, working to make sure that we keep them housed, employed, and that they receive the services that they need. You've brought forth transformative policies to shine a light on behavioral health, from mobile crisis response teams, crisis stabilization units, and particularly the addiction crisis impacting so many of our communities in San Diego County. I'm really looking forward to working with you to advance additional efforts and to reach more people in every corner of our region. So thank you. Thank you for your service. And because we are celebrating you, I do want us to give you a big round of applause for everything that you've done. It really is a tremendous privilege for me to represent the communities of District 1 on this board. First and foremost, I want everybody to know that I see you. I've seen the dedication of so many people who work day in and day out in this county, and I want to honor you for all of everything that you have done. I am so grateful for our county team, the more than 19,000 public servants who are committed to improving the lives of our region. You've demonstrated your commitment to the people of San Diego County during some of the most challenging times. You made sure people got their vaccines. You made sure people had the resources that they needed so that they can pay their rent and their utilities. And you saved countless, countless lives in the process. Many of you were working overtime while still managing to take care of your own families. Some of you juggled homeschooling kids and taking care of your elderly family members while still serving the county and the people of the county of San Diego. I want you to know that you had our back, and I want you to know that I have your back. I want you to know that I will lead our board with transparency and accountability, but most importantly, I want to make sure you know that the work that all of you do is not only respected, and that we make sure that we give everyone the respect and dignity that they deserve while they're working here. It wasn't that long ago that I was actually on that other side of the dais, advocating for our communities. I came to board meetings numerous times, and I sat there where many of you are today, making sure that I advocated to make sure that our kids across our region were not going to bed hungry, that our students and our teachers were not sleeping in their cars because the rent was too high, and doing everything that I could to make sure that women and families who were being impacted by the lack of access to health care, that we actually found solutions. I think many of you know, have shared my story about my mom. When she became very ill, my family turned to the county for life-saving treatment that she needed, and they weren't able to help her. The system did fail my mom, and I pledged then and there that no family would ever go through what my family went through. That's why I ran for office. That's why I ran to serve the communities of District 1 and all of the residents of San Diego County. That is why I serve now, because I really do believe that we must work together to make real change happen. Look, I know it's been tough. It's been tough because at times our chambers have been polarizing. But today is a new day, and our communities really deserve better. So I plead with you, because I really strongly believe that we must work together to increase public participation in these meetings. We have to have different voices. When we bring different voices to the fold, we can assure that we are serving all communities in the ways that they deserve. I expect that we're going to have disagreements and when we tackle difficult problems. It's actually what I hope is going to happen, but I want us to do it in a civil manner. That's how we find real solutions. That's what democracy is all about. But I want to make sure it's clear. Harassment, threats, anti-BIPOC, anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric is not going to be tolerated in these chambers. We also need to check our privilege. It is an honor for us to be able to be here, but the county that we're serving here, we are the safety net for thousands of San Diegans, and we have to make sure that we rise above partisan politics. As leaders, I want us to model how we can have differences of opinion and still find common ground. At the end of the day, this isn't about any one individual on this board. It's about the people that we are here to serve. With that as our guiding principle, there's very little we cannot accomplish. I'm ready to put our families first by making sure people have food and roof over their head, and we can connect them to the resources that they need to thrive and not just survive. I want to make sure that everyone has a good quality of life by having access to clean air to breathe and to have access to health care. And we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're creating a path to economic prosperity by providing small businesses the tools they need to recover, uplifting childcare as a vital necessity for our families to prosper, and to make sure that we develop a green workforce that is able to be innovative. And we're going to be enhancing community infrastructure by expanding public transit opportunities while also increasing options and access, investing in more parks and open spaces, and advancing innovative projects that will result in positive environmental and economic impacts to our region. So you see, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and that is why I invite everyone who is listening or watching to join us and participate in these proceedings. This is your county. These are your chambers, and I want you to know that when you come before this board, I hear you. I look forward to continuing to work with our veterans and our community organizations, our seniors, our small businesses, our faith communities, our labor unions, and all who care deeply about building a better county for all. En realidad, para mí es un privilegio representar a las comunidades del Distrito 1 y el Condado de San Diego. Es un honor para mí trabajar con más de 19,000 servidores públicos que están dedicados a mejorar las vidas de las personas en nuestra región. Muchísimas gracias por su dedicación durante los momentos más difíciles para nuestra comunidad estos últimos 2 años. Muchos de ustedes no solo tenían su trabajo regular, sino también el trabajo de sus casas. Ustedes nos apoyaron y quiero que sepa que estoy con ustedes, que de mí tienen mi apoyo incondicional. Es importante reconocer que en este momento histórico para nuestra comunidad, quiero enfatizar que no tomo esta responsabilidad ligeramente. Hace unos cuantos años yo estaba aquí en la Junta de Supervisores y yo venía a abogar por nuestros niños, por nuestras familias, por nuestros maestros y estudiantes, para que los jóvenes que no tuvieran acceso a comida o vivienda tuvieran mejores oportunidades, porque sabíamos que muchos de ellos estaban durmiendo en sus carros y que las oportunidades no eran las que queríamos nosotros para ellos. También he abogado por mucho tiempo por mujeres y por nuestras familias para que ellos que han sido afectados tengan el cuidado de salud que necesitan. Muchos de ustedes han escuchado la historia de mi mamá. Cuando ella se enfermó, pues acudimos al condado para buscar ayuda y se le negó. El sistema, el gobierno le falló a mi mamá y yo hice una promesa que yo jamás iba a dejar que eso le pasara a otra familia, porque yo quería que todos tuvieran las mismas oportunidades. Fue por eso que me postulé para nuestra comunidad en el Distrito 1 y es por eso que es lo que me motiva a mí día a día para poder hacer el cambio necesario para mejorar nuestras comunidades. Sé que hay muchas personas que han visto los desacuerdos que se han llevado a cabo en estas reuniones, pero hoy quiero que sepan que es un nuevo día. Es un nuevo día y nuestras comunidades merecen lo mejor. Es por eso que creo fundamentalmente en la importancia de la participación en estas reuniones. Cuando participamos más voces, podemos asegurarnos que estamos cumpliendo con nuestro deber en apoyar a las comunidades como lo necesitan y como se lo merecen. Es un privilegio poder participar en estas reuniones, ya que muchas personas no tienen la oportunidad de acompañarnos y estar aquí. Es por eso que me comprometo a hacer todo lo posible para que cuando vengan ustedes sepan que somos un modelo, que podemos tener diferencias de opinión y encontrar un terreno en común. Nuestro deber es hacia las personas que representamos, no a politizar esta situación. Con este espíritu hay mucho que podemos lograr juntos. Yo estoy lista para poner a nuestras familias primero, que tengan comida y techo y los recursos que necesitan para prosperar, que puedan respirar aire limpio y acceso a cuidado de salud pública, que exista un camino a la prosperidad económica. Vamos a hacer todo lo posible para que nuestros negocios pequeños tengan las herramientas que necesitan para sobresalir, para que nuestras familias tengan cuidado infantil y además desarrollar trabajos innovadores y tecnología verde. Igualmente tenemos que invertir en infraestructura comunitaria, expandiendo opciones de transporte público, invirtiendo en parques y áreas verdes y avanzando proyectos que impactarán de manera positiva el ambiente y la economía. Como pueden ver, tenemos muchísimo trabajo que hacer por delante y es por eso que los invito a ser parte de esta reunión y continúen para que sea el progreso de esta región. Este es un condado, es su condado, y cuando ustedes vengan a esta junta, aquí estaré yo para escucharlos y para apoyarlos. Espero trabajar con todos ustedes para crear un mejor condado y hacer lo posible para nuestras comunidades. We've got a lot of work to do, but I want you to know I see you, I hear you, and I've got your back. Now let's get to work. Thank you, everyone.
This really is a historic day for our county. I first just want to thank Chair Fletcher, or former Chair Fletcher, for your tremendous leadership over the past 2 years. I think you've shouldered a tremendous responsibility in shepherding in a new era in San Diego County, and we are ready to take that torch. So thank you for all of your leadership. I'm also so excited to welcome our new chair, Nora Vargas. We are incredibly lucky to have her in this role. She leads with her heart, and she leads with integrity. Our county will be so much better for your leadership. I will be so honored to serve alongside you as vice chair. When we took office 2 years ago, we stood at a major crossroads in determining our quality of life and the future of San Diego County. There was a fork in the road, and we chose the path of creating a county that works for everyone. A more just, more equitable, more progressive, and more proactive county. And now San Diego County is playing a real role in leading our state and our nation. As vice chair, I will work with our chair, my board colleagues, Chief Administrative Officer Helen Robbins-Meyer and her team, and our extraordinary county workers, but most importantly, our community, to continue to move an ambitious agenda, both to address the immense challenges our community faces, and also because we have the opportunity and the responsibility to provide an example and a path to the rest of the state and the country. We will continue to tackle the climate crisis with our regional decarbonization framework and Green Jobs Plan, and take meaningful action on equity and racial justice to redress these deep stains on America's history. Continuing to tackle our homelessness and affordable housing crises, and protect our beaches and coastlines from pollution and overdevelopment, and decrease traffic and congestion, investing in public transit and ending sprawl, and preserving our precious biodiversity and open space, and providing San Diego seniors with affordable in-home care and expanding access to quality, affordable childcare for every San Diego family, and strengthening our social safety net by expanding mental and behavioral health services. Together, we will continue growing the San Diego economy for working families with good jobs in biotech and green and sustainable and worker-friendly industries, and in the caring economy, and in sectors that embrace our unique advantages as a border region, as an economy that spans and connects 2 countries and 2 communities, and is the home to diverse and vibrant universities, businesses, and communities. We face historic challenges, and we have the ambition to match. So I'm honored to take on the role of vice chair to help lead the county in improving the lives of San Diegans. Again, I want to thank you, Supervisor Fletcher, for your leadership over the past 2 years. You've changed the county for the better. I look forward to working with you, Pro Tem Anderson, Supervisor Desmond, and our new extraordinary chair, Nora Vargas, in the year to come. Thank you.
Supervisor Desmond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is that appropriate? Yeah, okay. I just want to say thank you very much to our Chair Fletcher, who actually, I know you put in a lot of time and effort. It's not easy being chair. And that amount of time, even though we didn't agree on everything, you put in the time and effort to be here and get the job done. I also appreciated the fact, even though, you know, some of our more vocal speakers, you gave them a fair chance. You gave them a fair chance to speak and be civil. And so I appreciate that effort as well. I know it's not easy, and I want to say thank you for your efforts. And even though, like I said, we don't always agree, but we were treated each other fairly. So I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with you, Supervisor or Chair Vargas. I think you're going to do a fantastic job. I understand you're going to be chair of everything, so good luck. Hopefully we'll find, but I look forward to working with you. I know there's many areas of agreement that we have, particularly on homeless and treating everyone fairly. So I appreciate that, and good luck, and look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Vargas. By the way, I'm committed to helping you become chair of the Airport Authority. I just wanted to also thank you, Nathan. This job looks easy. It's hard. It takes a lot of time if you're devoted. And I know that you worked feverishly behind the scenes to make sure that we got along as best as we could on the things that we agreed on. And I really appreciated your thoughtful consideration of all the amendments I made and how you gave a path to allow me to join you many times. And that's true leadership. And so it was a great 2 years. I know that there were plenty of rough times. I know it was rough on your family. I hope it gets better as far as security and the rest. But thank you again for your hard work. And Nora, I'm very excited about your new role. I think there's a lot of things that our districts share, and I'm looking forward to doing big things with you. And Tara, it's always a pleasure to work with you. So I know we've done a lot of board letters together. I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more since Nora's going to be focused on Sandag.
Well, thank you.
Hey, by the way, Jim's a good guy too.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, we are very fortunate to work really well. I think we are an example if we're looking at what's happening in DC and other places. I think we're an example of folks who find agreement to get things done, because in the end, it's about the communities of San Diego County as a whole that we all care about so much. So with that, I'm going to move on to item number 2, which is boards and commissions. It's our next order of business. Clerk, do you want to go ahead and read?
Thank you, Chair Vargas. This item is to appoint board members to boards, commissions, and committees as listed in Attachment A. We have 9 requests to speak on this item, 6 in person, and 3 requesting to speak by phone. For those individuals that requested to speak by phone on this item, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item, followed by those in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individual in favor: Catherine Rhodes, followed by the individuals in opposition: Paul Henkin, Michael Brando, Oliver Twist, Audra, and Mark. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes, and first, I don't think you should dissolve any of these boards, especially the affordable housing one or the climate one. And then for specific boards, one of them for Supervisor Fletcher, you're going to be on Metropolitan Transit Board at the same time as the Airport Authority. Thank goodness, because I have the perfect golden ticket for you to get everything you want, every single thing that you want. And that is our grandfathered airport revenues, and also the new FAA document that allows for revenue diversion for normally restricted airport revenue to be used for transit projects. Before, it used to say you could only have it if it's transit only to the airport, if it's only at the airport. But in 2001, the law changed dramatically, huge, monumental. It now allows for you to have the airport connectivity project and the central mobility hub and let's just say a transit corridor all the way to the Mexican border using airport revenues. full airport revenues. And that's because passenger facility charges are now allowed to be used not for, it's a specific thing, and I'll retweet it out to the board so you could specifically see it. But it's amazing. I wish you would reach out to me so I could show you the FAA documentation that will give everybody here in San Diego everything they want. And specifically, my main objective for this is what I call my La Playa plan, of course, where it's a full tide reclamation. Specifically, what I'm so happy about is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers finally said that they're going to raise the U.S. bulkhead elevation for the San Diego River, the first time since 1850. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Paul Hinken. Recommendation 3 of this item includes dissolution of ad hoc and other board committees. These include Affordable Housing Solutions, Climate Advisory, COVID-19 issues, Administration Center building occupancy and Waterfront Park, Fiscal Management, San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station fuel removal, schools, and Summit on Aging subcommittees. I oppose the dissolution of any board committee where there is pending business. I think we can all agree that the affordable housing problem, the climate problem, the real COVID issues, the school issues, and many of the other problems these committees are working on will continue. And it is unfair to dissolve the committee in the middle of working on a problem. You want to appoint new members? It's always good to have new people and new ideas. But given your history of not allowing full public participation in the appointment process, I do not consent to these sham appointments and political rewards. Dissolving, then reestablishing these committees is a waste of money and energy. Let's continue the ones which are still working. Thanks for your attention.
Next speaker, please.
I use the name Michael. Wow. You know, what's kind of funny to watch this clown show is that, you know, all of you know you can get away with what you're doing, at least temporarily, because as we've said here, most people that live in this region have no idea who you are. They don't even know what a county board of supervisors is. They don't know that this is the way regionalism is implemented, where there's long-term plans to structure the world as a minority once it's structured. You know, and that's really not any of your fault. I mean, that really falls on the fault of people not paying attention and like a codependent thinking that, oh, someone else is going to take care of my life. Someone else is going to take care of my life. Really, I know this won't happen, but all of you should step down, all of you, and even the people in your ancillary agencies. Tara, I remember in the last year or two where you were attacking St. Paul of the Christian scriptures, trying to insinuate that he's some kind of evildoer. Vargas, you're always talking about trans people confusing temporary transitional gender dysphoria and equating that with people who need to have their genitals rearranged. Fletcher, oh, he's out of here. That's good. Him and his housemate, crazy. They're always trolling on Instagram, saying things like Amy Reichert's mentally ill and that she needs behavioral services. Zach Giannino, fed up with Fletcher, is apparently in love with Fletcher, according to Fletcher's housemate. And Tweedledee and Tweedledum over here, always silent on the important issues. And evangelical Christians are fools because some of them still believe that Jim Desmond is a wholesome person. He's a serpentine, fork-tongued fool.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, good morning. Oliver Twist here. Just real quick, for item 2 for the boards and commissions, that is actually a duty that I hope you will rise to the occasion to, because some of you do not have a very good track record of showing up for those assignments, and we will be paying attention, and we do hope that you honor the commitments. So, and for item 6, the receivership, while it said fiscal responsibility or the fiscal impact is nil because it's just an item of changing the amending. I do want to highlight that that did come, that whole Volunteers of America Southwest did come at $1 million cost to the county, not to mention that we will not get full value. So I am asking for more fiscal oversight on these programs. You have so many contracts out there and millions and billions pass through. So I am hoping that we get better oversight of and that you act stewardfully. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Use the name Audra. Love that you guys are going to get paid on these boards too, right? To destroy more stuff. It's good. You know, is it not a conflict of interest to be on SANDAG and then bringing forward their items? No, not at all. But you get paid to do it, right? And are you going to bring in our 15-minute cities like the UK? I mean, we already have complete streets, right, and all that stuff. So, I mean, are we going to be making it so that people can't leave 15 minutes outside of their zone and maybe just get a permit to leave if they have to? I'm just wondering, is that where we're headed? Is that what, if you're going to be the chair of that, I mean, are you going to enforce that? And we're just like, I mean, that'll definitely keep me away from these meetings because I'm more than 15 minutes away. So, I mean, it would probably benefit you to do that, right? I mean, because it's funny. It is. It's good. It's good. Yeah, so it's just interesting that you guys can be on all of these boards and act like you're doing stuff when all you're doing is destroying the county, taking people's rights, abusing women, condoning it. You know, taking people's jobs, making it so that they can't have a home, raising their taxes, you know, all these things that you're like, this is really good, and we want people to participate. If you do nothing about that man beating me, nobody's going to want to participate in these meetings because they're going to be afraid that that's going to happen to them too. Is that what you want? For them to be afraid to come in here because they're afraid to speak? Why is that funny? It's shameful. You should want people to come in here and go, you know what? We don't stand for that. We don't allow people to be abused like that. Instead, you're just like, she so deserved it. She should have just followed the rules, right? Or am I following the Constitution and my rights? You guys are violating your oaths. It's treason.
Thank you. Final call for Mark. Mark, item 2.
Mark, as I'll go into a little later on non-agenda, there's a global agenda here. So any appointments that are made are not in the interest of the county. And it's sad because these good people here don't know what I'm talking about. And I hope you stay at least through the non-agenda so you can understand some things. But it's real, it's not all right. And anyone they appoint is to promote their globalist agenda and their globalist corporations that are making money off of all of us. And it's pretty easy to see we're the only ones they can make money off of. Government gets all their money from the people. They are leeches. And whenever they do anything, there's actually the mayor, forgive me, I can't remember the county. It's San Bernardino maybe, but they want to break away from California. They're pissed off. And one of the things that they stated was that a third of the money for any project is consultation and studies. which of course go to the people they'd like to see get paid the most, the CEOs or managers or whatever. And then another third is inflation, like over half the money. That's why we can't get anything done. But that's great. It's a transfer of our wealth. And that is the purpose, taking your property. When they did the property tax change, raising it 2% for the people that got the spousal or the parent-to-child exemption, you guys aren't thinking ahead, realizing that means in 30 years when you die, your kids will not get the exemption. They'll pay your entire property off during their lifetime. Are you thinking about that? Because these people are stealing from you, and you're not paying attention.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individual that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking.
Non-stakeholder but official disruptor truth here. Predetermined Chair Nora's choice of Caroline Smith for the urban counties of California is yet another conflict of interest because Nora is their board of director. She should be disqualified from voting. But no, dirty business as usual. UCC's priorities include, quote, statutory changes to local agencies to maintain decorum and manage disruptive behavior during meetings, end quote. Naughty by nature Nathan out, novice Nora in. I called it way back in the June 28th meeting last year when Misinformation Minister Nora got her county leadership training in D.C. at the Gates-funded National Association of Counties. Even at Sandak, Nora made a minimum of $3,600 a year just to show up. Here's some examples of Nora's boards and failed leadership so far.
And it's just time to walk out. It's time to stop playing this game. I mean, they have masks on.
San Diego County is a champion for reproductive freedom. Let's be clear. And as an elected official, I can take your names. Call me fat. Call me whatever you want. You are not allowed to talk to her that way. No. Absolutely not. Not under my fucking watch. No. Look, I've been in the jungle. I've walked in that jungle. I know how tough things are. I've been in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Work there every day. Learn to live like a marathon. Don't know where to live. You don't know what to see. Take it eventually. You can have anything you want, but you better not take it from me. In the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. It's gonna break you down.
You're going down, Nora. You're in the we the people's jungle.
Thank you. Chair Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve item number 2? Second.
Happy to second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can you call the vote, please? No. All right.
Chair Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Wonderful. So at this point, we're going to now recess until 10:15, and we'll resume the rest of our agenda. Thank you.
Court is in recess until 10:15 this morning.
That was a little clunky. right, welcome back to the, all right, well, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the January 10, 2023 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting and the Redevelopment Successor Agency. We will now proceed with agenda business. As a reminder, according to the board's rules and procedures, audience members should not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. I do want to take a moment just to acknowledge this, and I want to say thank you to Supervisor Desmond for your perspective. I think it was one of the board meetings where you mentioned how when you were a council member, when people clapped, you know, like depending on who's there advocating for an issue, it really is a good way to make people feel like nobody's supporting their issue, one or the other. So I really appreciated that, and I wanted to make sure we continue with that tradition, that everybody feels welcome and that every opinion is counted when people are here. So we're going to continue to make sure that we have as much as we can civil meetings to that process. So item number G is proclamations. There are no proclamations for this meeting. The next item is agenda item number H, non-agenda public communication. We will now proceed with non-agenda public communications. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters with the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments, which is 4 minutes. To better facilitate the meeting, we'll have 5 speakers in person and 5 speakers via phone, and the rest of the non-agenda public communication will be heard at the close of today's meeting. Do we have any folks that want to speak?
Thank you, Chair Vargas. We have 40 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 23 in person, and 17 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and as the chair indicated, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Michael Brando, Mark, Kathleen Malinakis, Mike Borello, and Bryant Rumbaugh. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. You may come forward in any order.
Mark, everyone please listen closely. At one of your last meetings, December 13th, 2022, AM session on YouTube, at 1 hour, 33 minutes, Jeff played this video of Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum. Klaus is German. He also believes in global governance. A quote, and you can see it at this address. This is the title here. Here's a quote from Klaus Schwab. Yes, actually, this notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin, and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday, I was at the reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of his cabinet, even more, half of his cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. End quote. You can Google Nathan Fletcher World Economic Forum. His membership page comes up. This is absolute proof of treason. You do not have to try him and have him hung like the Constitution would talk about. You don't have to put Nathan in jail forever. It is absolutely your duty to relieve him of any government position immediately. You can see this right now in 1 minute. Right now, Klaus Schwab saying this. He is a member. Oh, and here's Nathan's quote on his Facebook page. Nathan Fletcher, excited to be in Davos for the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. It is cold but sunny. This is his quote. It's treason. What are you going to do about it, Nora? You just took your oath yesterday. We all saw it, to the Constitution. This is not just a park. This is treason. What are you going to do? Jim, you going to do something?
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Kathleen Malinakis, retired RN and from Stanford Medical Center and author of 2 best-selling books for nurses, including the one on vaccines that I gave to each one of you. I'm here about a very serious matter. I'm talking about the double-digit percentage increase in overall deaths that occurred in 2021 when the vaccines and mandates took effect, and it has continued till now, according to the San Diego County website. We should have seen a decrease in deaths in 2021 if your shutdowns, masks, and vaccines were safe and effective. But instead, it spiked way up, and it remains at catastrophic levels. As of last month, we're talking about a 35% increase. We urge you to form a commission to find out what is causing these record high deaths. The S-glycoproteins or spike proteins in the mRNA COVID injections have been determined in the scientific literature to be cytotoxic, and I have multiple references for that, from NIH, from PubMed, from all kinds of places. We urge you to implement autopsies for plausible vaccine-induced deaths. You should establish cardiogenic, thrombogenic, and other criteria and you should test affected tissues for the presence and source of spike protein. Embalmers that we know are reporting strange findings like fibrous clots in blood vessels. We need an order that requires all mortuaries and embalmers to report unusual findings and submit these bodies that they're finding these in for autopsy. Sudden deaths are happening among young people. My friend's daughter came home to find her 36-year-old husband unexpectedly dead. That's just one example. We urge you to stop the vaccine now and provide help.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Michael, gaslighting is a brainwashing strategy perpetrated by highly manipulative and completely or partially sociopathic narcissists who live secretly and undetected in our society. Like child molesters, gaslighters can smell prey, who are vulnerable to believing in their false altruism, affection, and promise of protection. Gaslighting occurs when the gaslighter systematically manipulates the environment, so their victim experiences distress over an implanted dilemma that either was only mildly problematic or never even existed. The victim is rendered helpless when they are indoctrinated to believe this terrible and overwhelming problem is hopeless and turns to the gaslighter to protect them from it. Because the victim is coerced into believing their inculcated issue is real, they begin to demonstrate symptoms of it. The resulting powerlessness, insecurity, and paranoia creates increasing levels of helplessness and hopelessness, which serve to isolate the victim even further from anyone who could unmask their sociopathic gaslighter. Helen Ross Rosenberg, the human magnet syndrome. This applies to so much of what this board does, the complete inversion of reality, including all of this stuff about this, and this, trying to trick people into getting injected with bioweapon transmogrification injections. Nick, I bet you're a nice fella, but you're involved in this too. Course correct.
Next speaker, please.
All right, Brian Rumbaugh. So 2023, I do want to see improvement. Every time I come up here to this podium, my objective will simply be to have you guys live up to the mantra that's on the front of your building. I can say last year it was a good experience, me getting the opportunity to start going to these boards at my Riverside County, which was my home board at the time. The last meeting I was there, I actually told those politicians that my advice to them would be to start more or less explaining to the screaming that the system needs to be improved, okay? This is a broken world, just like that gentleman said in the invocation, okay? In Riverside County, I can tell you on the 29th of December, there was an officer involved, more or less fatality. And what happened at that point in the game was when that call came in that an officer had just been murdered, the sheriff in Riverside County and his top admin personnel ran down the flights of stairs, got in their stealth vehicles, and joined the pursuit, okay? Meanwhile, here in San Diego County, what happened to Audra getting beat up by that dude that was at the gate or at the front door this morning, Deputy Gonzalez, okay? Your sheriff at the time literally just sat there. There was actually a video that showed more or less the time frame analysis of as the screaming was going on, him sitting there squirming in his chair. He shit the bed, probably like he's done his entire life. Okay, that guy that did that murder up there for that police officer, when they got up to him, they pretty much went ahead and dispatched him, DRT style. Okay, what I will tell you is this: I don't care what organization that guy was affiliated with. I don't care what club he belonged to. That was an individual. Whatever he was on at that point in the game, he obviously...
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mike Borello. So I'm very puzzled why COVID isn't on the agenda today, why there's not another obnoxious vote to perpetuate the emergency order. Are we still in an emergency or not? Did the board finally realize they made a huge mistake by endorsing, encouraging, and promoting COVID-19 vaccines? COVID isn't over, at least not for the multitude of injured and families that lost loved ones to the experimental bio-countermeasure. After well over a year, the CDC finally admitted under action of a FOIA, indeed, there's not just a few safety signals in VAERS, but hundreds. This is in the news right now, and that includes death. They produced a spreadsheet with no further explanation why they failed to stop vaccination and pursue investigations under their own policy that adheres to what's called the precautionary principle. San Diego, as all in the nation, presently suffers from unprecedented and unexplained excess death, as Kathleen mentioned, and disability claims. Your HHS could have taken action over public concern, but they didn't. They continued to vaccinate the hell out of our population. You all failed your duty to protect the citizens of San Diego County and are complicit in injury and death. A Science Immunology preprint finally published December 22nd, class switch towards non-inflammatory spike-specific IgG4 antibodies after repeated SARS-CoV-2 mRNA vaccination. The mRNA vaccines are unique among all other vaccines in increasing this subclass of antigen. Many months after vaccination, it exists in the body. This could be really bad news. Cancer.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
So, Clerk, just a minute. I'm just going to ask the members of the audience if you could please follow the rules of the chamber. If not, we're going to move forward and proceed with removing folks. I really want us to make sure that we hear all the people that are here, that are here to speak their mind. So if you can just keep it to yourself, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. And remind the callers they should mute their TV live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Where the negative impact on the amygdala plays a large role in the brain's motivational receptors. The repercussions of marijuana businesses in the city is that it normalizes marijuana use to teens and young adults, interfering with their ability to make long-term life choices. Thank you for hearing me.
For the caller, this is Terry Ann Skelly. Please proceed.
Parent advocate. I had an opportunity yesterday to speak. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, great. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a mother of 3 adult funds. I volunteer on many youth projects in the San Diego County, especially projects involving promoting good, healthy choices. Many of us are concerned about the mental health problems of high school students, college students, and young adults in general. We are concerned with the role of marijuana use by young adults and how it affects their mental health. We applaud Governor Gavin Newsom's announcement last month of $481 million in grants to overhaul the California youth mental health system. Governor Newsom was quoted as saying, and I quote, "Rates of serious mental health illnesses and substance use disorders are highest for individual ages 18 to 25-year-olds, and rates of children and youth experiencing behavioral health conditions, youth emergency department visits for mental health concerns, and youth suicides continue to rise." State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurmond wrote in an October letter to school officials, and I quote, "This is also a critical moment to intervene and help youth and families who are struggling with substance use disorders and those who are using drugs to cope with trauma loss or mental illness," end quote. Meanwhile, state health officials is warning parents to be on the lookout for dangerous marijuana or hemp-derived candies, noting that the number of children who are eating these products is increasing. The repercussions of putting marijuana businesses in our unincorporated county communities is that it normalizes marijuana use for teens and young adults as some sort of default choice for relieving stress and anxiety. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name's Alan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, good morning to the board and especially to all the passionate speakers. You guys are phenomenal. Concerning, I didn't see on the agenda, but please interrupt if I'm wrong. Concerning the placement of sexual violent predators, again, I ask, why are the worst of criminals get a free home provided by the taxpayer? Placement should include, we should not be placing these predators, these criminals, at all schools and especially all neighborhoods. No parent should have to worry about their child being safe in their very own yard. The state has determined monitoring should be required, so why not place these criminals in trailers outside Donovan Prison where they can be monitored, away from our communities? Well, all board members, all you board members, do what's right and protect our children. Okay, concerning mileage tax, it's coming up. Whoever reps it, I believe the chair, Chair Vargas, please. We got the SDG just doubled the heating bill and the gas prices going up. We are watching you, not only you, but every rep, to stop. Reform California has already set up a recall if you guys push forward and vote yes on the mileage tax. And last item, consent items, please give them full time. Every item is important for discussion. When you combine them all and only allow 2 minutes for all the items, it's not right. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Jacqueline. I am calling regarding the pending case with Michelle Reynoso and ask that the County Board of Supervisors settle the pending case with Michelle Reynoso instead of using taxpayer dollars to push a trial when a jury has already decided that the Public Defender's Office committed harassment, retaliation, and discrimination in an almost identical case. Both cases share complaints where the jury found unanimously for the plaintiff. The jury found the witness involved or the witnesses involved have lied or lack any credibility. These are the same witnesses in the Reynoso case. The county's liability is apparent, and we ask now that the Board of Supervisors take on the opportunity to rectify past wrongs and actually do right in the Reynoso case. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, this is Zachary Davina. Thank you to the Board of Supervisors. I'm speaking today about the inequities within the county and in particular the Office of the Public Defender. Many of you made pledges to serve San Diegans from all walks of life. Most recently, Supervisor Fletcher, you yourself said, we have put more focus on being a county that supports all people, no matter your race, religion, country of origin, or your gender identity. And I have a sincere hope that these stated intentions are true. However, just last week, a jury of your constituents awarded a multi-million-dollar verdict for gender expression discrimination and retaliation. So I'm asking you, supervisors, listen to your constituents and follow through on your declared intention. This body should independently investigate the issues replete throughout the Office of the Public Defender, including Randy Mize admittedly signing off on knowingly false documentation. This body should engage in a nationwide search for the next public defender. This body should update the county EEO policies to comply with California law to include gender expression and sexual orientation. And finally, this body must settle the claims in related cases, and please respect your constituents' verdict in this most recent case. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the final caller this morning.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator. Many San Diego residents are participating in Dry January, the annual effort to limit or eliminate the use of alcohol. Drinking, even in moderate amounts, is linked to a wide range of health problems, including multiple types of cancer and liver disease. Impaired driving continues to be a cause of avoidable traffic accidents, injuries, and fatalities. Perhaps it's time to include marijuana in the Dry January practice for those who use. In a recent Washington Post column, a professor of medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, was asked if marijuana was, quote, as bad as alcohol. The answer from Dr. Salome Kehani, marijuana causes harm too. The doctor points to several adverse effects, including the risk of dependence and withdrawal symptoms, the increased risk of suicide, depression, and a higher incidence of psychosis in adolescent users, potentially dangerous interactions with prescription medications, and damage to the heart for those who smoke, be it tobacco or marijuana. Let's remember that both alcohol and tobacco are sometimes referred to as natural products that have been used for thousands of years. Yet, as Dr. Kehani writes, the tobacco industry designed highly addictive products and incited a worldwide epidemic in tobacco addiction and subsequent cancer, cardiovascular, and lung disease. Dry January is a good time for people to reevaluate their relationship with all unhealthy substances, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, or something else. Let's make it a healthier 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes, for the remaining callers that requested to speak on a matter not listed on the agenda, please hang up and call back at the conclusion of the session. Chair Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minute statements of proceedings for the regular board meeting of December 13, 2022. I'm happy to make a motion. Is there a second?
Happy to.
Second. Second by Supervisor Desmond. Please vote.
Chair Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Fantastic. We'll now proceed with the formation of our consent calendar, items 3 to 8, and the redevelopment successor agency. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after the supervisors pull any items they would like for discussion. I encourage supervisors to go ahead and make a motion or a second as we move forward. Supervisor Anderson, are there any items that you wish to pull?
Not at this time, thank you.
Supervisor Fletcher?
No items to pull.
Supervisor Desmond?
No items to pull, and I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer?
No items.
Would you like to second?
Happy to second.
Second, and I have no comments either. So if we can go ahead and move over to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Vargas. We have 15 requests to speak on matters on the consent calendar, 9 in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Any members of the public that requested to speak on items in the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals, starting with those in favor: Catherine Rhodes, Robert Velazquez, those individuals will be followed by Mike Borello, Michael Brando, and Paul Henkin.
And I just want to remind everyone as we turn it over to public comment that, please keep your comments related to the items on the consent calendar. And go ahead.
Wonderful. Catherine Rhodes, and I'm commenting on number 4 and number 7. For number 4, the online public auctions. Again, when we have surplus property, you're not supposed to sell surplus property so you can make money. You're supposed to sell surplus property for 3 reasons: affordable housing, open space and parks, and I forgot the other thing. I think it's open space and parks, 3 different things. And so you're selling property that could be used for homeless. Maybe you could tell these people, or make a program, I'm requesting, to ask these people, hey, would you take in some homeless people? Maybe that could help pay for your tax lien that you have. And then the next one is the communications received. This is where the gold is. This is where there is 13 point, how many billion is that? $13.6 billion in cash. The cash comes from unencumbered bond proceeds, cash already taken out from the redevelopment agencies, from the schools, from the special districts. For example, let's just say that the schools and the unions wanted to build affordable housings for teachers on school property. The money already exists. You don't have to go and do anything. The cash, it's not only money, it's cash. $13.6 billion. And where you see this, where you can see this, is in your communications received. It's called periodic financial reports. And in the periodic financial reports for November 2022, it shows that there's still $5.62 million in cash in the Federal American Rescue Plan Act months. You spent $5.6 million in 2 months. At this rate, it's going to take you 5 years to spend this money. The money in this fund for the poor is meant to go to the disenfranchised, the poor, the homeless. This money can
Thank you.
is yours.
Next speaker,
Thank
please.
you.
Good morning. My name is Roberto Velasquez, and I'm President and CEO of Southern Caregiver Resource Center. And I want to first congratulate Supervisor Vargas for her new chairperson position, and Supervisor Lawson Reamer for her vice chair. I was here yesterday also, and I want to congratulate Supervisor Desmond and Supervisor Fletcher for their re-election. Well done, everybody. So I'm here. We have a NRP proposal in, and Supervisor Fletcher's office is supporting some of the NRP grant. We represent, Southern Caregiver represents 490,000 family caregivers, unpaid family caregivers in the county of San Diego, and we provide supportive services for these families that desperately need support, respite, support groups, counseling, case management, help with assessing their needs and developing their care plans. And as Supervisor Vargas was mentioning earlier in her acceptance comments about family and the importance of family and how necessary it was for her family to receive services at a time when they were in desperate need. And that's what we strive to do at Southern Caregiver Resource Center. We are actually dealing with some of the most family caregivers that are dealing with some of the most critical medical conditions at home, 90% caring for people with Alzheimer's or related dementia, and many of them doing very complex medical care at home as well. So we provide them with those support services that families need to keep them thriving at home. Our support today, again, thank you to Supervisor Fletcher for his support, and we turn to all of you for additional support if possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call the remaining speakers in person: Consuelo, Audra, Mark, and Oliver Twist.
Mike Borrello. Here we go again, another fanatic round of spending ARPA money on dislocated projects. Hurry, hurry, deadline approaching. You would think impacts would include damages you yourselves caused on the population of San Diego, by your policies over the vile experimental bio countermeasure. You've wrecked hundreds, if not thousands, of lives in San Diego by coercing vaccination. Consider Judy Zhang, former employed at United Airlines for 27 years. She couldn't work anymore after being forced to vaccinate to keep her job. Or Jake Dotteridge. He was a young and healthy bodybuilder, but since he worked under federal contracts at Pendleton, he had to get jabbed to keep his job. Now he gets around in a wheelchair. Marcia Gee, I believe she actually spoke here last year, pleading for you to stop. She was a thriving nurse, but the jab also took her life away. Many others have been economically damaged because they knew better and didn't trust you. My job was not worth the risk. The county were accessories to a crime. Their malfeasance led to death, injury, and economic loss to county residents over forced vaccination programs. This board and county HHS officials violated California Health and Human Services Code, Division 20, Chapter 1.3, by not properly providing informed consent to subjects involved in human experimentation. It's in the books. What's worse, these people were not even informed they were participating in an experiment. You were notified. I notified you. Many others notified you. If you are going to spend ARPA money, the vaccine injured should be at the top of the list. They should be identified and compensated.
Next speaker, please.
Paul Henkin. The community enhancement stuff reads like a political rewards list. ARPA funds are also being used inappropriately. The first item, for instance, says the COVID pandemic created continued challenges for appropriately resourcing programs and so on. Well, you know, artistic spaces that you want to fund are always starting up and shutting down. And especially now that the COVID thing is about over here, I do not see any nexus with COVID. Numbers 17 and 34 grant $40,000 for job skills training on medical equipment and art and science of hair and tattoo removal and body sculpting. These are county funds, and I do not see how this and several other items benefit the county as a whole. I am also distressed to see that number 18 awards a mental wellness service grant based on race. BIPOCs is or are back, although anyone can have mental problems. On the other hand, number 20 grants $10,000 to rehabbing a building. Good idea, but I'm not sure how far this will get. Rehabbing a closet or two? Why pay at all? And one lucky organization gets 2 grants. Call it the money game, taxpayer money, your game. Thanks for your rapt attention.
Next speaker, please.
Michael, I'm going to echo some things Mike Borrello said regarding these funds. And don't interrupt me, Nora, because this is all tied together, all tied together. On item 3, it says that, on number 1, on item 3, $20,000 is going to go to Disco Riot. Disco Riot. And this is COVID funds, COVID funds. And it's to support Queer Fest. Queer Fest. Nora, you need to learn to keep it to yourself. And what I mean by that is you come up here and talk about people in groups of buckets. You want to make up this fictional thing called the LGBTQ, you can laugh all you want, 2SI, MSM group, black people, trans people, whatever. It's part of your divide and conquer thing. You people are involved in issues and things that are none of your damn business. And Andrew Potter, you ought to be ashamed of yourself too, because you're involved in this. Why do I say all this? I've had relationships with men, but I don't put myself in a bucket. And I don't look for sociopathic narcissists, people that express that way, to try to salvage my life or make my life better. This is all part of this strategy of putting people in buckets to try to make people hate one another. And you do that against heterosexual men too. You devalue them. You devalue families while you're saying you're standing up for them. And I see you talking, Nora, not paying attention. See, nothing's going to change. You're all on the same team. Well, guess what? Things are changing.
Next speaker, please.
Mark, too many things put together to speak very well on anyone. But agenda item 3, section 29, allocate $20,000 from the Neighborhood Reinvestment Program budget to San Diego 350 to help cover the cost of canopies, tables, chairs, t-shirts, displays, handouts, tables, and video conferencing system, laptops, projector, handouts to provide public education related to climate change, environmental justice, and sustainability to diverse adult and youth residents in county supervisory district 4 at no cost. This is a total scam. These people know, and the people they work for know, that you're altruistic and you want good things. So they're never going to screw you by saying we're fucking you over. They're going to do it saying they're doing something good to help you. You can tell climate change is a scam. Climate does change, and we need to do things to help crops grow and such. But if it was real, they wouldn't allow corporations, major corporations, to pay and get a credit so that they can pollute. In fact, it's in their plan that they can pollute more, but only the large corporations will be able to afford that. And if you wanted to stop murder, you wouldn't tell the largest murderers and biggest criminals that if they paid a big fee, they could be murderers. It's planned that it's going to increase. Tax default properties, they've made it so 40% of the middle class have lost their businesses. I'm sure they're going to get a lot more properties now. It's a scam. Receivership, that's something to make it easier for them to take control away from people if they don't do what they would like you to do to upkeep their property. For instance, graffiti. If someone paints your house with a graffiti and you don't fix it quickly enough, maybe they'll take control of your property.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Oliver Twist. And first I wanted to apologize. Oh, Mark, is this your notebook? I don't know. Mark, I wanted to apologize for going a little bit out of order before because this is our first time we've done this. If you remember a year ago, we were doing this by Zoom for the organizational meeting. So good that we're doing this in person. I appreciate that opportunity. And this is to item number 6, and again, the stewardship aspect of it. And I've had a chance to pull up the board documents, and the disallowed cost was $6.7 million that they could not prove that they provided services and that the county was asking for the money back. But then they settled, you settled for pennies on the dollar, about 50% at 3.872. And on top of that, however, is the fact that the building was assessed to need up to $10 million of work. So I was short from my prior figures. And this is hard money. And I am asking, my number one thing as a watchdog is to ask for you to operate from a place of stewardship, not the fountain of magical money that flows freely, you know, and it comes from a hardworking person, a business owner, a property owner, and we work hard for that money, and we would like you to act like it actually came from somewhere and to be accountable to our money and to run the government finances like you would run your own personal finances and care about every dollar. Thank you so much.
Next speaker, please.
applies to everything on the consent calendar, Consuelo. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for government to follow, to ensure, protect, defend, vindicate, and uphold your rights, our rights. The government does not give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for government to follow, to ensure, protect, defend, vindicate, and uphold your rights, our rights. The government does not give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for governments to follow, to ensure, protect, defend, vindicate, and uphold your rights, our rights. The government does not give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for government to follow, to ensure, to protect, defend, vindicate, and uphold your rights, our rights. The government does not give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for government to follow, to ensure, protect, defend, vindicate, and uphold your rights, our rights. The government does not give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights. Humans actually believe that it is government that gives them their rights.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I use the name Audra. That is so true. Unfortunately, that's not what's going on. Anyway, I love that you're spending all these ARPA funds, Nathan, almost $500,000. And, you know, I'm just wondering, because it's like, you're going to spend this money for transgender. If I identify as trans species, like a chimera, and I want to get, say, tattoos all over my body and or just like have them, you know, do hair transplants, are you going to pay for that? Or is that kind of insane, right? That would sound crazy, because that money should be going, like Mike said, to the victims that have been vaccine injured from something that you've been pushing. And the fact that you're going to be spending $20,000 on a blood bank, I'm wondering, is there going to be unvaccinated blood? Because otherwise you're going to kill people with that blood that you're putting into them. It's happened before. I just had a guy on my show who somebody died on his, he's an embalmer, and they got blood from the vaccinated and they died from it. So you guys need to pay attention to what you're doing. And the fact that you think that you can sit here and take people's property because they're not paying their tax defaulted. We have been in a pandemic for quite some time, right? And so therefore you're not compensating them and going, you know what, maybe you've had a hard time the past few years, and let's make sure that we help you keep your house. But no, we're trying to curb homelessness, right, while creating it. Totally makes sense. And the fact that you're nearly doubling your fees for things that the government, like, we pay you, you guys take our money and you spend it. We don't need to give you more money to compensate for your inability to do the job right or get shit done in this county. And the fact that you think that and also taking property for code violations. It's like, at what point are you guys going to stop destroying people's lives and actually help them? Why don't you take those ARPA funds and give it to these people that are going to lose their home because they're tax defaulted? It's a joke.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hi, this is Marion Wilson. I had a couple comments on some of the things in number 3. One, I did want to reiterate what Audra said about the blood bank. I do think it would be very wise to create an unvaccinated blood bank resource. That would be a wonderful use for some of this money. as there have been a number of deaths created from receiving vaccinated blood. Number 34 was the $30,000 for equipment. My concern there is the wording provides opportunity for clients to get the critical health care they need. To me, that sounds like a bit of a wordplay. We've done a lot of this recently where we change words or make them mean something that they don't. One is overselling this item. And if it truly is critical health care, which it may or may not be, then I do believe laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and body sculpting should be available to the general public and not just to a certain select group of people. And then number 6 is about receivership. I think when it comes to taking someone's property, it's really important to go through multiple channels rather than expedite that process. There are instances where something like this may be necessary, but I think it's really important to have more than 1 or 2 people involved that are not represented by the people. In other words, having just employees handle it. I do believe it should continue to go through the board and be referred to them for a decision before properties do go into receivership or other items that might fall into that category. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth. Item 3 is Nathan spending over $440,000 on 32 different organizations, including $20,000 on the Queer Movement Fest, when on November 15th, Nathan already gave them $5,000. $20,000 to Mana de San Diego, conflict of interest because Nora and Nathan's wife Lorena both received a Legacy Honorary Award from Mana on March 18th. $17,500 to San Diego Diplomacy Council's International Visitors Leadership Program, which is managed by the corrupt U.S. State Department. They mold children into global citizens and spew out extremists like Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard. $40,000 to Transgender Health and Wellness Center, which is based in Palm Springs. Their website has a video about them providing a 17-year-old girl toxic hormone blockers. $20,000 to San Diego 350, whose Socialist Green New Deal partners include ACLU, Democratic Socialists of America, the San Diego County Democratic Party, Sierra Club, and the United Nations Association. Item 4 is 513 parcels of tax defaulted property theft by county government, and then making a profit off it via auction, the ultimate corporate takeover. And item 8 is 29 different nominations by Nathan, Jim, and Helen, including Risha Jadi Maksudi, member of the traitorous United Nations Association, Ricardo Favela, who thinks Fallbrook is full of white supremacy, and Regina Roberts, who decided to transition to a woman in 2012. And to the Leon Williams Commission, Nicole Murray Ramirez, a man who dresses in Queen regalia and goes by Empress Nicole the Great, the Queen Mother of the Americas. Socialist terrorist Black Lives Matter Fund of PANA's board of directors, Taha Hussein, and David Vance, who does and sells male nude prints. Seriously, talk about extremist choices. No, absolutely no consent on any of these items.
Thank you. Chair Vargas, that concludes public comment on the items in the consent calendar.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the items on the consent calendar. Please vote.
Also note for the record that the consent calendar includes the items on the redevelopment successor agency agenda. Chair Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Thank you. We don't have any discussion items for today's agenda. We'll move forward with our board committee updates. Are there any committee updates from my colleagues?
It was a great time off.
Fantastic, much needed. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we're now going to resume with non-agenda public comment.
Thank you, Chair Vargas. We have 30 remaining requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 18 in person and 12 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and I'll be calling you in groups of 5, so please listen for your name. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward Gary Chris, Nathan Woolman, Tim Macedo, Lisa Roan, and David Haskins. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Nathan Woolman, and I'm Vice President of SEIU Local 221. County workers are grateful for this board's ability to point the county in the right direction, but there's more work to be done. Workers in self-sufficiency services specifically are especially grateful for last year's Make the County Work for All initiative that mapped out necessary improvements to our public assistance programs. Unfortunately, we feel that some of the progress promised by this effort is already being eroded away. 2 recommendations from the Social Services Advisory Board are not being adequately addressed. Recommendation number 3, concerning the benchmarking of workloads with best practices from other counties. And recommendation number 7, recommending an adjustment to our training practices. The Kone Consulting report showed that casework has been distributed unequally and that timeliness and quality of work has suffered. In response, the SSAB made recommendation number 3 concerning workload. Up till now, workloads have not improved. When we last asked, self-sufficiency management indicated they were not interested in benchmarking workload based on best practices from other counties, despite the recommendation. Further complicating the situation, our efforts to train and onboard new caseworkers appears to be ineffective, bringing us to recommendation number 7. Based on the data we requested from the county, less than half of new hires successfully completed their probationary period for the period for which we have a full accounting. We feel this is unacceptable and it tarnishes the reputation of the county as a quality employer in the San Diego region. We continue to hear from probationary employees about poor experiences in training and onboarding. In summary, we need to address these 2 recommendations. We urge you to take it seriously and follow up with management to ensure we fulfill the intent of this initiative. Poverty is still an issue, and we feel we need to follow through. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Lisa Roan, and I'm a Human Service Specialist in the North Coastal Family Resource Center. I have worked for the County of San Diego for 23 years. I'm a proud SEI member and steward and a board member for SD Sarah. My purpose this morning is to shed light on the workload issues of HSS's Human Service Specialists county-wide, North Coastal in particular, and give an update on making the county work for all programs, which the board passed last year, and we thank you for that. Workloads are out of control and workers are beyond stress. There has been a failure to keep up with the effects of changes to the processing of cases. Although there have been many policy and program changes to the work, but timeframes to complete these cases have remained the same. Workloads aren't distributed evenly, and there is no consideration for the stress that workers are under. As a union steward, I am continually contacted by staff who are buckling under the workload pressure, and retention is impossible as many refuse to continue to work under these conditions. We appreciate the findings of the Cone Consulting study and the recommendations adopted by the Self-Sufficiency Advisory Board. We ask that you urge county staff to focus on and implement these recommendations. After all, staff are also San Diego County citizens with needs and should be served with heart. I thank you for this consideration. Congratulations on your re-elections and on the board, Norica.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Tim Macedo, and I am a Human Service Specialist at the El Cajon Family Resource Center. I'm also fortunate to have been interviewed for the self-sufficiency survey and spoke before the board in favor of acceptance of the self-sufficiency report. At the time, I was excited to be involved in the recommendations implementations. However, over time, my excitement has been severely tempered by issues with training, retention, and most importantly, caseloads. Instead of focusing on service to our customers, my coworkers and I now focus on our mental and physical health. With a current probationary retention rate of approximately 50%, more responsibility has been placed on the remaining staff. It is not common to hear staff with 10+ years of experience saying they are going out on disability retirement due to repetitive injuries, taking stress leave, or just saying they just can't do this anymore. Management response to the issue has been basically by saying they don't need to contact other counties to find best practices. Other counties come to us to look for those best practices. This mentality must change, but no change will occur without the board's involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 5 additional speakers: Estela Garza, Oliver Twist, Catherine Rhodes, Paul Henkin, and Consuelo. I've called your name. Please come forward.
Hello. My name is David Haskins. I am an IHSS provider, a UDW member, and a representative in Nathan Fletcher's district. I take care of my partner who is legally blind and account for just one of over 30,000 care providers in San Diego County. Our job is an honorable one, with mostly women and people of color, stepping into this role of caregiving for those who need it the most. Think on this for a second. A workforce made of mostly women who face the country's wage gap crisis across every job, and people of color who to this day face discrimination, police violence, and so many other disadvantages. We pour from our own cup to make sure others are as fulfilled as we can be. We are advocates for our clients. We are also cooks, nurses, and shit to lean on. Our goal goes beyond just these barriers, and we need your help so that our wages reflect that. This is your chance to help bridge some of the huge gaps in this system. We've already made some progress in bargaining, but there are still some things we need to address. I look forward to continue to work with you, but also wanted to share with you, we'll keep coming back until we get a contract that we deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Estela Garza.
Okay. Yes, good morning. My name is Estela Garza.
Soy proveedora del programa de IHSS.
And I'm a provider for the program IHSS.
En la ciudad de Chula Vista.
And that is in the city of Chula Vista.
Y soy presidenta del Distrito 1 de San Diego del UDW.
And I'm president of District 1, that is UDW.
He sido cuidadora durante 16 años y he visto a muchas personas excelente asumirse a papeles apropiados de atención de momentos para otro.
And I've been a helper over 16 years, and I've seen many excellent persons, many people that take the role of providers, of giving attention for just at the moment.
Algunos de los cuidadores llegaron a este trabajo debido a circunstancias impredecibles.
Okay, some of these people, they came to this type of job because of, imprudently, because of circumstances that they were not expecting.
En las que alguien como a los que aman se enfermó repentinamente o tuvo un accidente.
for either the ones that they love, they got sick, or maybe they had an accident.
Mientras otros se unieron a este trabajo después de ver lo valioso que es nuestro trabajo para aquellos a quienes servimos.
Some others, they joined this program once they knew how valuable this job is, for us, that we provide for it.
Y aunque nuestro trabajo es muy importante para nuestros clientes,
Although our job is very, very important for our customers,
ha pasado desapercibido durante décadas y los proveedores de IHSS han luchado con uñas y dientes para reconsiderar la Junta de los Supervisores.
and it has been, it has gone by without people noticing these programs. And the providers of IHSS, they have really, really fought, with their nails and teeth in order to be recognized by the Board of Supervisors.
Como saben, actualmente en medio de las negociaciones de un nuevo contrato con el condado,
As you are aware, we're in negotiations for a new contract with the county.
y queremos tomar un momento para agradecer a través de vernos y escucharnos realmente.
And we would like to take a moment to thank you, and so you can look at us and honestly listen to us.
Esperamos que continúen trabajando de buena fe para tratar de superar las décadas de negación de que hemos enfrentado tanto los proveedores del programa de IHSS como nuestros clientes.
And we are really hoping that you continue working with us in good faith in order to go ahead and get over the times that we were, we were not looked at, that we have been facing, and also to continue to be the providers of IHSS for our customers.
Ahora, es el momento de demostrarnos que realmente están con nosotros y que apoyan y se preocupan por nuestro trabajo y por los clientes a los que servimos.
Right now is the time that you need to show us, honestly, that you are with us, that you support us, and that you really worry about us, our jobs, and for the customers that we provide services for.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good timing. Good morning, Board. And first, congratulations to Nora for taking over the chair position. I wish you well on your new leadership position here, and hopefully at Sandag. I have been dormant on an issue, intentionally so, but since it resurfaced today, I'll touch on it. I wanted to say thank you for allowing clapping, not once, not twice, but 4 times this morning during the formal agenda portion of the prior meeting. Those actions today proved 3 things. 1, that respectful clapping response is not disruptive. 2, that it is an essential form of pure speech and an essential human right. And 3, that your rules are subjective, arbitrary, and capricious. You enforced them selectively today and demonstrated that you govern by fiat and not following your own rules of procedure. Lastly, I'm asking you to please plan to light up the county building with white lights sometime during the week of January 15th to 22nd to honor the sanctity of human life. The county has a long tradition of lighting up this beautiful building in various colors to celebrate assorted causes and people. In that vein, I'm asking that you please light up the building on behalf of human life. I'm also asking you to fly a flag that I purchased at my own expense for National Sanctity of Human Life Week. You just celebrated Human Rights Day in December, so I'm asking you to continue to demonstrate your commitment to human rights and the sanctity of life by flying that flag. Also, if you choose not to, then I do plan to come down to the county building in that 3rd week and put a table by the flag and fly it myself. I'm hoping that you would do it in the name of equity, a value that you claim to hear so dear. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Paul Hinken. Congratulations to the new hires and Chair Nora. Thank you for starting the business part of the meeting at 10. I wish all meetings would start at this time. The agenda overview used to be a few paragraphs. Now with all those flowery descriptions, it sounds more like a sales pitch, not an objective description. The agendas from 2012 to 2017 only have a few paragraphs. One thing which would help is a brief statement of need. Jim, I think, has done a few of these. It's a waste of your time and ours to be given the sweet talk. And I'm sure it contributes to wrong impressions about what the real intent of an item is. This is not about free speech, but about wasted time and resources. Then there are the equity statements. Some are to the point, but since they are included for all items, some seem to degenerate into whining about the haves and have-nots. Some, like fire and sheriff department matters, are a restatement of the overview or rules already in force and are probably not needed. Also, the agenda items should be released as soon as the board letter is ready, which would give you and us more time to analyze them. And then you can form the consent calendar after knowing which items actually are routine. Are you trying to include everybody in participating in these meetings, or only those who have the time to make sense of the agendas? Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. So next speaker is coming forward. I'd like to invite 5 additional speakers: Audra, Oscar Flores, Annabelle Aruz, Samia Marquez, and Bobby Case.
Consuelo. To the people in the audience who are begging government for help, have you not learned anything from history? Please understand what in fact they are doing. They could care less about you or your wants and needs. Everything is to fulfill an agenda. Please wake up to this agenda, 2030. You have to get that it's not a conspiracy. It's been years in the making, years. It may be beyond the capacity of comprehension for many, but please remember, the same people you are asking for help from is the same government that has done the worst, the most atrocious to minorities. It's time to stop falling into the same trap. This government is not here to help you. This government only enables dependency. They want us to be dependent on them for everything. We need to help ourselves. We must do what we can do for the human species. This government will never genuinely be of any service to any of us. All they do is create more victims, more dependent slaves, more room for them to control us in everything we do. They are master manipulators. When will you wake up? When will you realize that we've been programmed, indoctrinated, we've been slaves to their laws, to their pharmaceutical industries, to their organizations that have only kept us all down? May I remind you, you have been duped into believing that you are a minority. You are of a different race. May I remind you that there is only one race, that is the human race. We are different colors, different cultures, but we are in fact one race. They control us by divide and conquer. Wake up.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes, and this is for Supervisor Joel Anderson. I wanted to thank you very much for all your work you're doing on homelessness and your staff also. And because before you mentioned Lake Jennings, I actually went and did a site visit. And I'm not sure if you know, but I'm a civil and environmental engineer. I have my master's. And so I went to the site, and it's perfect. What I think that's even a better location than the campground, because the campground's used by a lot of people that would like the campground to keep on. But right next to the bait shop, there's this big, huge, giant parking lot. And right to the northeast of the parking lot is all this open space that could be used for, let's say, tiny homes or anything. And instead of asphalt, because I don't like asphalt, I think what you should do is put down just gravel, just a plain old gravel platform to put all the tiny homes on it. You could literally do it within weeks. I would love if you would call me and get my information on it, especially the next time you go to do a site visit. And so anyway, because you went there, I called the Helix Water Board and did the public comment at their meeting, and such good news. On tomorrow, 3 p.m., the Helix Water Board is going to have a agenda item on homeless solutions for their properties. And specifically because 4 out of the 5 board members were so excited because they went to a path presentation for special districts on what they could do for homeless services. So this is the first special district that's basically taking you up on your effort, and it's because that you mentioned it that I happened to go to it. So I would like if somebody from the county staff of homeless services actually goes to the Zoom meeting at 3 p.m. tomorrow and is there to answer any questions. You can do anything they want. If they have any problems, I have all the answers. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Annabelle Rouse, and I'm here because on January 3rd, 2023, a jury overwhelmingly found that the County of San Diego's Office of Public Defenders unlawfully discriminated, harassed, and retaliated against former Deputy Public Defender when it fired him because of his gender expression, and awarded $2.6 million in damages, and another $600,000 to $700,000 will likely be awarded for attorney's fees against the county, pushing the award to well over $3 million. Former public defender Michelle Reynoso's trial is in February and has some identical claims, shares identical witnesses, and will likely have the same result. What worries me about the verdict is that the jury found in Davina's trial that the Public Defender's Office failed to properly investigate harassment and retaliation, and there has been no promise that anything will be done to improve how complaints are handled. The Public Defender's HR did not forward the results of its independent investigation to the County Internal Affairs in violation of county policy. Almost identical procedures were implemented in Michelle Reynoso's case. I am here to ask the County Board of Supervisors to open an independent investigation using an outside firm to find out how the Public Defender's Office handled the racist statements, the harassment, and retaliation. San Diego's depend on Public Defender's Office, but we can no longer trust the people running that office to protect us. We need you to listen to us so we can restore our faith and trust in an office that is supposed to protect all San Diego's constitutional rights. Retaliation and harassment and speaking up has no place in any workplace. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, supervisors, everyone. My name is Oscar Flores, and I have been an IHSS care provider for a little over a year for my mother, who is 92 years old. She's dealing with arthritis and lung cancer, among other issues. There are nearly 2,000 people in San Diego who do not receive the IHSS care they should be receiving due to the shortage of providers that stems from the low wages we are paid. That's nearly 2 million hours of care that are unmet every year, and that number is increasing. Let me put it this way, that's 2,000 elderly and people living with disabilities who go without someone helping them bath, cook a proper meal, or take them to very necessary doctor's appointments. We put in the work 24/7, tending to our clients, working with our union siblings to make sure our rights as providers and the rights of our clients are met, while also raising our own families. I'm the father of 3 kids. They are full-time students. I'm a single father. There is no alternative to the care we provide because our clients simply can't pay someone else to do it. They need us, and we need your help to continue providing care. We need our wages to increase so we can attract more caregivers into the field and help take care of the over 2,000 people without care. I ask that you please stay up to date on the happenings of our bargaining. We ask that you make sure you understand what's at stake. The future of care in our county is truly in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in person, Veronica Luna and Pam.
Good morning. My name is Semia Marquez. Just like Annabelle who just spoke, I am here because on January 3rd, 2023, a jury overwhelmingly found that the County of San Diego's Office of the Public Defender unlawfully discriminated against, harassed, and retaliated against former Deputy Public Defender Zachary Davina when it fired him because of his gender expression and because of his complaints about racist comments made and discrimination against himself. The jury awarded $2.6 million in damages, and another $600,000 to $700,000 will likely be awarded for attorney fees against the County of San Diego, pushing the award well over $3 million. Former public defender Michelle Reynoso's trial is in February and has identical claims, shares identical witnesses, and will likely have the same result. What worries me about the verdict is that the jury found that the following senior management at the public defender's office lied under oath and were not believable. Randy Meese, Angie Bardosic, Kay Brainer, Michael Ruiz, Mignon Hiltz, Jill Ellen Super, Frank Barone, Troy Britt, and Sherry Stone. The long list of top leadership involved in such misconduct and cover-up in a single county's department is unheard of. These same people are involved in Michelle Reynoso's case. I'm here to ask that you open an independent investigation using an outside firm to find out how the public defender's office handled the racist statements made, harassment, and retaliation. We ask that you listen and do what's right. We count on the public defender's office to protect all San Diegans' constitutional rights, and we would like to restore our faith and trust in the system that has discriminated and retaliated against Zachary and Michelle. We want everyone to be treated with equality and for leadership to be held accountable so this never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Pardon my voice if it cracks. This turtleneck seems to be upset at me. So I'm here in regards to the Reynoso matter as well, and I have a question for you all. Really?
Can I ask you to please state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Bobby.
Thank you.
So again, I submit my question to you. Really? After everything that we learned last week in the Davina case, as they mentioned, the county still seeks to litigate the Reynoso matter, a case with essentially the same facts as the Davina case, in a suit where the county was found liable for around $3 million, and in a unanimous fashion as well. The Davina case shows that the writing is on the wall, which leads me to my next question. Why? Why continue to litigate this matter? Pride? To save face? To prevent a hypothetical flood of meritless lawsuits? This is San Diego in 2023. I'd like to think that the circumstances of this case are an anomaly and that it's something unlikely to be repeated. So to sum it up, in San Diego, we don't always agree on the way that the county spends our money. But in this case, we cannot afford to agree to disagree. So again, the writing's on the wall. Please don't waste our money pursuing this. Do the right thing and settle this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Username Audra. Hope you take heed to what these workers were saying. It's kind of sad that you guys can be paid so much money and they do work that nobody will do and don't even get compensated for it. Jim, you're making some real weird faces at people. You might want to put on a mask, covers it up, then you can't really tell. what kind of faces you're making. It doesn't look like you're, annoyed. And about item number 4, I forgot, it said that auction is going to be positive impact on Black, Indigenous, people of color, women, disabled immigrants, youth, and LGBTQ. So taking people's homes is going to benefit them. Good. That's good. Nathan, we know you're a part of the World Economic Forum. You definitely are engaging in treason. And the fact that you're in bed with them is a little weird because they condone pedophilia. They call it it's just love, right? Between babies and adults, there's no screw the age gap, And so, we know stuff was found on your computer as well. You already showed your face in that. But I was just wondering, so if I identify now as a superhero as well as a trans species, I'm just wondering if you guys are going to be paying for me to get my hair done. And I was wondering if in the bathroom, either you make me my own bathroom or put some kind of a litter box in there because I prefer to use that. If you could do that by tomorrow, I would really appreciate it since we need to be inclusive with everybody, right? And so just make sure, we do that because we don't want to leave people out, right? And we have these ARPA funds to do it. It's not that much money. It's probably, $20? And then you just have to have somebody clean it up. Good to know.
Next speaker, please. I'd also like to invite forward Janice Luna Reynoso and a final call for, looks like Gary Chris.
Hi, Pam. As Wilma's not here to give you the county COVID report, I'm going to directly from the website, the County News Center, dated January 5th, 2023. Wilma Wooten, and I quote, said, "It's never been more important to get tested if you feel COVID-19 symptoms and to get the bivalent booster vaccination if you haven't. If you are not ill, get boosted to stay healthy." Same document, page 2, under COVID-19 deaths. 21 additional deaths between September 4th, 2022 and December 28, 2022 occurred. 14 of the 21 were vaccinated. 7 had not received any COVID-19 vaccination. You folks on the board must be so tired of the same rhetoric. Get tested, get jabbed, get tested, get jabbed. None of you get to think for yourself. You are required to placate the powers that be and cave to repeat the same mantra even as this experimental injection is imploding around you and the adverse effects are more evident, even death from this jab. Finally, Tara, I mandate an apology from you to the public for your name-calling, insulting tirade accusing those who aren't jabbed of not considering your daughter. Subsequently and ironically, being jabbed yourself, you were the threat to your daughter when you got COVID, and I hope she's A-OK.
Next speaker, please.
Do you really want to do this?
Hello, my name is Veronica Luna, and I am here today to ask that you settle the pending case with Michelle Reynoso in a similar case. A jury found the witnesses involved, Mize, Bartosik, Stone, Reese, Rayner, Britt, and others, to have lied or lacked any credibility. These are the same witnesses in the Reynoso case. I ask that you hold these people accountable and that you no longer permit this type of harassment to be acceptable. I ask that you protect future employees from this type of nonsense. Spare the remaining individuals in this case from mental stress and do what is right. Intimidation, retaliation, and discrimination for standing up for what is right should never be looked down upon. This is your opportunity to restore people's faith in a system that has long been broken. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm here to speak in reference to the case of Michelle Reynoso and Zachary Davina and them speaking up against racial injustice and racist comments. With fear of retaliation, indeed, they were fired from the public defender's office. We're asking that you open an independent.
Can I ask you to please state your name for the audio record?
Janice Luna Reynoso.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Open an investigation, an independent investigation using an outside firm to find out how the public defender's office handled the racist statements made and the harassment as well as the retaliation. Force Randy Mize to step down for gross misconduct and knowingly signing a false official investigation to cover up his office's harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Defender supervisors who lied in these cases should be fired. Please conduct a nationwide search for a new head of public defender. Randy Mize should be forced to step down immediately, and nationwide search should be held. His successor should be implemented. Rather than promoting Kate Brainer, a person who was involved in the unlawful employment decisions in the Davina and Reynoso cases, please clean house and restore public trust to the public defender's office. San Diegans depend on the public defender's office, but we no longer trust the people running that office to protect us. We need you to stand up for what is right. I think this is an opportunity, along with the good things that have happened with the supervisor's decisions, the Office of Equity. This is an opportunity to clean up house and make a difference. I see, even though this is an unfortunate case, there's a lot of pain and suffering, but I see good coming of this and you all coming together for a brighter future and impact on our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, and congratulations, new Chair Nora Vargas and Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer. My name is Mark Wilcox, and I am the father of young adult children and grandparent to teenage grandchildren. I'm a person who cares about the good health of my family and citizens of the county like you all do. I've worked in media all my life, and I think it is very important to dispense pertinent information to county residents, especially information regarding health issues. This week, the American Society of Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine has issued fresh guidance calling on anesthesiologists to ask patients about their cannabis use and be prepared to delay surgery or change their treatment plan depending on the answer. The group's recommendations have been published in the journal Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine. The recommendations suggest pushing the operation back at least 2 hours after the patient last smoked cannabis because patients high on the drug are at a higher risk of heart attacks when given anesthetics. They expressed their concern that marijuana raises people's heart rate and lowers their blood pressure, a combination that can lead to a lack of supply to heart muscles. They also recommend that doctors should cancel surgeries when cannabis users appear to be high because they cannot consent. Selling pot in the unincorporated county is not a step forward to promote good health for our county residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Diane Grace, and I am here as a concerned parent and grandparent who come today to let you know about San Diego City Attorney Mara Elliott's article in her community newspaper entitled, "You're Never Too Old to Be Fined for Underage Drinking. Parents, others can be held liable under social host law." Her article is being circulated in the parent community. We should be reminded that the county unincorporated communities also have a social host law in place, and the county sheriff's website has an excellent description of the law. Her article reminds us that adults who allow a party where underage drinking, including marijuana and other drugs, is in violation of the County of San Diego and the City of San Diego social host law. Ms. Elliott also reported that as a city attorney, she knows far too many teenagers who begin using drugs and alcohol at an early age. Because the age initiation of alcohol and marijuana use in San Diego is 12, and it is very important that alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana education begin earlier than 12. Unfortunately, that is not the case. This is particularly a problem for our youth and families who have to swim against the tide of the billboards, promotions, online ads, and marijuana storefronts around them that imply that drug use is okay. I respectfully ask the Board of Supervisors not to enlarge the presence of marijuana sales in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Barbara Gordon. I am a public health educator, and I am here today to express my concerns of the high-potency marijuana. I realize when the county voted to legalize the sale of marijuana, it was looking for a source of revenue and to satisfy the loud, vocal pro-marijuana constituents. But in doing so, it disregarded the FDA and related federal government health care agencies who rejected the conclusion that marijuana is a safe and effective drug for any purpose. Even the Biden administration reiterated that conclusion as recently as April 2022. Today's marijuana can contain up to 99% THC with products such as wax, shatter, often called dabs, and distilled into oil that are vaped. Marijuana might start as a plant. These products are created in a lab, and there is nothing natural about them. Numerous studies and mega-analysis have shown that the use of high-potency products is associated with mental health disorder, addiction, risk for motor vehicle accidents, psychotic symptoms, and violence. The failure of lawmakers to address the potential problems created by high-potency products that are marketed and sold in San Diego is a clear failure of your responsibility. I urge this board to limit the availability of high-potency cannabis as part of your ordinance to protect the health and safety of all residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, this is Marion Wilson again. Today I want to pay tribute to the 5,700 county residents who lost their lives to coronavirus. They are tragic victims of scientific experimentation, medical and scientific malfeasance, and failed policies. Of those 5,700 beautiful souls, 4,000 would still be with us today had they received early treatment. Many of us stood at the podium with irrefutable evidence of the effectiveness of ivermectin. Doctors and regular citizens presented peer-reviewed studies, handouts, and data over and over, which showed a 70% reduction in COVID deaths with ivermectin. We were open to discussion, debate, and panels. A compassionate leader would ask questions to find out more. Instead, Supervisor Fletcher bullied, mocked, and dismissed those who presented life-saving information. One of the most harmful actions was when Mr. Fletcher belittled Nobel Prize-winning ivermectin as horse paste. It is available in paste, but also as a pill, which has been used safely for decades. The fears and doubts around ivermectin created by Mr. Fletcher's comment, combined with his stature in the community, deterred those with coronavirus from getting this safe and effective treatment, which would have saved thousands. Let's forever remember all who perished and the needless deaths that occurred by withholding a common medicine, ivermectin. Due to the epidemic of government-sponsored propaganda and failed policies, I encourage everyone to learn about our health agencies by reading Robert Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci. Everyone taken from us will be the cornerstone of a renaissance in truth and transparency in government and private institutions. Please find out more. Please support your loved ones. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Marissa. I'm here because on January 3rd, 2023, a jury overwhelmingly found that the County of San Diego's Office of the Public Defender unlawfully discriminated against, harassed, and retaliated against former deputy Zachary Davina when it fired him because of his gender expression and because of his complaints about racist comments made and discrimination against himself. The jury awarded $2.6 million in damage and another $600,000 to $700,000 that will likely be awarded for attorney's fees against the County of San Diego, pushing the award to well over $3 million. Former public defender Michelle Reynoso's trial is in February and has some identical claims, shares identical witnesses, and will likely have the same result. What worries me about the verdict is that the case could have been settled for much less, especially when the County of San Diego had access to text messages and emails between supervisors, proving that there was harassment and retaliation 2 years before the trial. To force these cases to trial, spending tens and thousands of dollars on depositions and experts alone is a waste of taxpayer dollars, especially when there is obvious county misconduct. The same text messages and emails are going to exist in Michelle's case. So I'm here to ask the Board of County of Supervisors to settle the pending case with Michelle Reynoso instead of using taxpayer dollars to push a trial when a jury already decided that the Public Defender's Office committed harassment, retaliation, discrimination in the case that is identical. Both cases share complaints where the jury found unanimously for the plaintiff. So please consider settling the case so you do not waste any more taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp. I'm a resident and public health educator, wanting to bring to your attention that the CDC recognizes January as National Birth Defects Awareness Month. This is an opportunity to raise awareness about birth defects and educate those who are pregnant or may become pregnant regarding the harm substance abuse can have on the developing fetus. This is a personal issue for me as I'm raising a child who suffers mentally and behaviorally due to marijuana, as well as other drugs he was exposed to in utero by his birth mother. There's a misconception that marijuana is safe to consume during pregnancy. The CDC clearly states this is not the case. They issued a statement warning all women who use marijuana or other drugs during pregnancy of the possible side effects, potentially impacting the unborn child's life. They urge all pregnant women to not use marijuana. The FDA released findings suggesting that marijuana use by persons during pregnancy could be linked to problems such as attention, memory, problem-solving skills, and behavior in their children later in life. The growing prevalence of marijuana storefronts, looming billboards over our freeways in our county, mailers, magazine promotions, all infer the acceptability of marijuana use, which is very dangerous to the pregnant woman and her fetus. If the county could focus its efforts on curtailing this misinformation, requiring warning labels and marijuana storefront signage to educate the public on the true negative effects, we could reduce detrimental outcomes. Bringing pot shops to unincorporated areas without safeguards in place is reckless. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle here, parent advocate. And Happy New Year to all of you, and congratulations to Nora and to Tara. I came this morning because I, too, wanted to address the issue regarding the use of marijuana during pregnancy, as January is Birth Defects Prevention Month. I had the experience about 20 years ago representing the county parent community to the March of Dimes monthly meetings. We were struggling at the time with trying to find a way to let our young women understand the role that smoking played in the outcome of the health of their babies. We finally came up with a campaign that showed for posters, 2 sets of footprints, one that was normal size and one that was much smaller, with the tagline underneath that said, "Guess which mother smoked?" This caught the imagination here in the county and nationwide and began for all of us the great education journey of explaining to our young women the dangers of smoking during pregnancy. I am concerned that we are going to see this very same situation as we are awakened or further awakened to the harm of smoking and vaping marijuana during pregnancy. And so I welcome this attention this month on birth defects. And I am concerned that the role that the county is going to play in bringing more marijuana storefronts to our county unincorporated area will work against our need to educate our young women about the dangers of smoking and vaping marijuana during pregnancy. Thank you for letting me share this concern with you this morning.
Thank you. And Chair Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting, and with that, our meeting is adjourned.
The board will reconvene tomorrow, January 11th, 2023, for the planning and land use session of this meeting. Thank you.